Hi everybody, welcome back. We're continuing our discussion from the reaction. I guess I'll just make this reaction part two because I might as well keep this up for visuals.
True. Fair enough.
Because we're basically continuing what we were saying.
Yeah, no, I mean the big thing here is I give a lot of shit to Pokemon. I just want to clarify. I love this series. And that's why I give it so much shit.
Oh yeah.
Because like I'll be real, Pal World isn't what I wanted out of a Pokemon game. I'm gonna be clear. It's not. Because they're guns and I'm not playing as the Pokemon necessarily. So it's not quite there. But like
You
Pokemon
kind of
has
can
had
when
people
you
saying
ride on
like,
them, but
it's you know what I mean. Like
yeah.
Kindred Fates, that's the game we were talking about, is
Yeah.
what I'm thinking. Um, but I know that they know we want it, and the fact that they won't give it to us is what is ultimately frustrating to me.
I mean, that's a lot of things I feel like with Pokemon. I feel like with the reason why they drop the ball so often is because they're just kind of afraid of taking the chances to like really push it.
Yeah, I
uh,
mean the thing here is they're making money regardless, so they
I
know they don't have to take chances.
think you mentioned this in one of our deleted stuff, but one of the reasons you said you didn't like Black and White story so much is that we never see like a Pokemon Sanctuary or anything like that. And
Yeah, I
although
mean
we
that's a
do
big piece
kind
of
of
it.
get one in Black and White too, we never really see like Pokemon getting abused in Black and White. You know,
Yeah,
it's
well,
like if we
except by plasma,
yeah, except by Plasma. But like if we saw other people abusing Pokemon,
it
Plasma
would have mattered.
would be
It
like
would have
they're yeah. It
It
would
would
have
have it would have mattered more if we saw Pokemon breeding centers, if we saw Pokemon livestock centers. These are the old things that they have. They're trying to build a world that doesn't exist.
Oh, we see
That's my
livestock
opinion.
in Black and White too. It's just a gentle farm where everybody's friends.
Yeah, no. Nobody's cut up. They just take their milk. They don't dictate that they use their meat, even though we know
Yeah.
they do.
So
So that's
it's like if we had this story would have more point to it. And you don't even need like to like kill a Pokemon. Just have somebody kick a dog, you know?
true. True.
Have a little Pokemon come up to you and be like, please save me from my trainer, you know? That's all you need. Have
It's true.
have N save a Pokemon and be like, yo, this is what I'm fighting to prevent, you know? And be like, all right, well, fair enough. At least I see where you're coming from. But
I
as it
mean, that's
is,
a big
what
deal.
N's fighting from is nothing because nobody's doing it.
Agreed. I mean, the only person who's actually propagating this is Gestis, and he is a piece of fucking garbage. He's a great person to be a villain because I hate him.
Yeah.
But I can point to like 50 other characters with the same character arc who are worse people that are more interesting to watch.
I mean, Getsus destroys a city in Black and White too, so.
Right, but then you go to Gen 6 and the guy destroyed the world. So like, does it matter? Who gives a fuck?
Backstory. That's the great backstory. We don't actually see him destroy the world.
But we know
Motherfucker.
he does.
Motherfucker. That's why I was saying. That's what I was getting into last episode, where I'm like, all right, well now they got to. Now that we're getting a Pokemon Legends, we have to see Pikachu's soul get sucked up into the machine.
He
Now
gets
we have
so
to see it, or else they're dropping the ball. But they're not going to because Pokemon's too chicken shit to do it.
And Jesse, all they need to do is unleash the guest character Shang Tsung, and they
Yeah.
win.
They're too afraid to do it. As such, they will never have the level of story that they should.
I can agree with that. It's unfortunate, but I can agree with that, and that's why Digimon still isn't dead
Yeah.
because they do have the
Oh,
story.
they'll show it. I was playing Digimon Survive. One of the children died. It's like, okay.
Oh, dude, just play Digimon Cyber Sleuth. They fucking are like, no, we're gonna kill all of you
They
because
talk
fuck
about it
your
in
world.
Sleuth, but we don't see a child die. So
Well,
it's a lot of the Pokemon thing where they talk but they don't do.
we do see her die. She's dead. It's the girl with the hacker girl. Yeah, she dies. She's
Oh,
dead.
I maybe in the sequel. I haven't played the sequel one or like the side story
Oh, yeah.
one, but
Well, yeah. I was gonna say you should really
I,
play that one because
I
it's
was talking
really
about in the
fucking
main
good.
Cyber Sleuth. We don't see anything super bad. We hear people talk about it, but we don't see, which is
Yeah, no,
Pokemon's
you
problem.
should. I highly recommend the second one. I think Cyber Sleuth 1 is great. I think the second one is even better.
This is kind of a non-story,
Um,
but this is why I always thought Twilight Princess wasn't as dark as Majora's Mask, because Twilight Princess talks a lot, but we don't see enough.
yeah,
We see some. I'm not saying we don't see anything, but I feel like
well,
for what the
the whole
game was
point of
trying.
right. The whole point of so I actually want to put up for Twilight Princess right now. While not bashing Majora's Mask, I'm gonna be clear, I'm not. But like the whole point of Majora's Mask is you can see the danger, you can see the horror. All of it is visual in front of you. That's the point. The point of Twilight Princess is nobody but you sees it.
I think that's
Nobody
kind
but
of a
you sees
problem.
the horror. That's not a problem because the horror is that they're all gonna die and they're not even gonna. That's
Are they gonna
horrifying.
die? Because I don't think they're gonna
Yes,
die. I think they're all fine.
yes. No, they eat their souls, dude. That's the whole thing of
Do we?
Ganondorf's thing. Is it's yes,
I don't think I
yes,
ever saw that
yes.
actually happen. When does that happen?
Well, Ganondorf does it specifically with a bunch of the Twilight people, but then he endows them with new souls that make them dark beings. But the Hylian people, he actually has a grudge against, and he's gonna kill them like he killed that Light Sage,
I don't
which
know.
is by twisting his fucking head off.
I mean, I think like the villain's gonna kill everyone is applied in pretty much every Zelda game.
But the whole point is the darkness creatures, you are the only one who can visualize the world because of Minda. To be fair, Minda can see it too. She's technically a protag. And Zelda can for however long she's there until Thanos snaps her out of
uh,
existence. Um,
I don't know. I just feel
it's
like there's just so much like people are saying like you see them in the spirits and it's like, well, that seems bad, but is it? Because nothing bad happens to the spirits, and the spirits don't seem like they're suffering. It's just kind of one of those things where like Link is probably disturbed by it, but that's kind of it. That's it.
I
And
disagree.
let's face it, Link isn't disturbed by
Let me
anything.
let me tie you to the manga here for a second because I
Okay,
think
no,
this will
no,
be
no.
the way.
Shh, shh, shh. Hold on, hold on, hold on. That's supplemental material. That's not what we're talking about.
It's crafted by Nintendo and it's considered canon. So suck
Okay,
my dick.
but you know when we were talking about Black and White 8 story, we weren't talking about Black and White 2. So you know we were talking about Black and White. We're talking about. I'm talking Twilight Princess
No,
the
no,
game.
no. We're talking right. But like, what happens in canon happens in canon. They just couldn't fit it into the game. So like, it still counts.
I don't think it does.
It does. It's the same thing with like. This is not like Black and White's comic versus its game, where they are considered separate entities. This is literally. There are certain Zelda mangas that are considered canon with the story. Like, for example, Link's Awakening is not considered canon with the story. They just made that to.
So, okay, let me put it like this. When I'm talking about darkness and like the emotional impact of stuff, if we need some supplemental material to understand it, even if it is canon, I don't think it counts because
Right, but like even then, there's not that much dark shit in Majora's Mask if we're putting that out
but you
there for
see
like
it
memes
more and thus you feel it harder.
oh, you see the moon?
Oh, you see
Like
people
legit,
panic, you see people dead, you see people cursed, you see people injured.
you see people
There's
panic, huh? Yeah. Oh, you see people dead? We see a lot of dead people in
we,
fucking Twilight Princess. Are you
no,
kidding
you
me?
get told about dead people.
No, you see a ton of dead people. The entire reason the Twilight Realm succeeded is because they killed a bunch of people, Jesse. They're
Yeah.
all dead. That's why there are no soldiers in the town. They're all dead. You want to see their bodies after they've been buried? They're gone. They're dead.
Okay, so there was that one cutscene, I will admit, but that's
Which
kind of it.
indicates that they cut through her entire force because they're in the throne room.
But I'm talking. Okay, let's put like Kakariko Village for example, right? You get told everybody's killed, right? That's it. You're just told, and
Yeah, and it's horrifying.
And you get but you don't get to see it. And I'll admit, you get
You don't
some
always
people
need to see
mention
things.
that they're bummed, but I don't see them too bummed.
You don't always need to see things for it to be horrifying.
Joey,
Jesse,
Joey, a core tenement of storytelling is show don't tell. That's a
that is
core tenement.
untrue. It is untrue. If that were the case, thrillers would make zero money. You are full of shit. That is untrue. Thriller
Showing
movies.
sorry, horror
Have you
movies?
ever watched the movie The Haunting? Have you ever watched the movie The Haunting? Right? It's not a horror movie. It's a movie about us not knowing if the house is haunted the entire movie, and we're kept guessing. And that's the point of us being on edge all the time. It
Twilight
made
Princess isn't a horror
tons
thing.
of money.
But here's the
No,
thing.
it's not horror. It's a thriller. It's a thriller.
But here's the thing.
Not the same.
What if okay, so let's say we're watching Friday the 13th, right? And we see Jason chase someone, right?
Yep.
And then we cut to somebody being like, yeah, they got killed by Jason, and then we never see Jason kill or the body or anything.
That would make sense if the movie was thematized after a horror movie, but it's not. It's based on a thriller, which means that, yes, there would have been more build-up to that, more subtext, and more talking, which would have built up our stress and tension. And then we would have been, oh my God, what happened? When we don't know. Because that's what a thriller does, as opposed to a horror movie that just grabs the sleeping bag and slams it against the tree like Majora's Mask. You're missing my point entirely, which is they're both a type of fear-based game. It's just a completely different kind, one of which you don't seem to understand.
Maybe I don't, and I do understand that a lot of this is my opinion, like a lot of these discussions. But I do think it could have been better if we saw more than just we're told.
What I think is they gave us the best they could with the scraps they were given to build the game they made.
Oh, that's fine. If you're saying that this is the best they could do, that's fine.
Hold on. Because the big thing to note here is after Ocarina, they had millions of dollars to play with because it was a commercial success.
And I do also
after
want
to Wind Waker was a commercial failure.
Oh, hold on. Let me reiterate something. I came into this directly comparing Majora's Mask to Twilight Princess. If we're comparing like Twilight Princess to like a scary Pokemon game, of course, Twilight Princess is way better and like they're dark and scary.
I think they both do what they're trying to do just as well as each other.
I don't think so. I feel like Twilight Princess just misses the ball occasionally.
It doesn't. It's a thriller and it's a really good one. And Majora's Mask is a horror game and it's a pretty solid one. Let's be clear. If I'm comparing Majora's Mask to any horror game, it fucking sucks. Like, let's point it out here. Resident Evil 7 versus Majora's Mask. Resident Evil 7 every day. Okay. Way better. Yeah. Any day.
Yeah.
So like this is a non-argument to say it's a good horror game because it's by and large neither of these are good horror games.
To be fair, I never thought either of them were a horror game. I'm just thinking from like an emotional standpoint.
You made an argument. You made an argument for Majora's Mask being a horror game. That was one of your whole things was a horror aspect, and I'm like, here's the deal.
I was always thinking more from like a dark emotional aspect is why I was trying to go into
you didn't say that. And let's be clear, Twilight Princess does have a lot of dark emotional aspects. A lot of what you see is ruined cities, ruined towns, subtext, which is just as important as frontal text in certain aspects, as long as you write the story with that in mind. Which
but I feel like with Twilight Princess, it makes the same mistake of Pokemon, where it's like they don't want to show the actual like the problem. They just want to show you the after effects of a problem.
Jesse, that's fine though, because the whole point is they show you the current problems through your eyes, and that's why it's a thriller, because it's the whole concept of Stephen King made a book about this whole concept where you cannot see a being, but somebody else can, and they try to protect you from it. Doctor Who's done it, and it was very good. But it's all about how you write around it, and I think they wrote around it just fine.
Well, I think about the Haunting you mentioned. The Haunting's not about like a monster coming at you or anything. It's about anxiety, and they show anxiety.
Exactly. They show every single spirit's anxiety when you talk to them, Jesse. But you just said nothing bad's happening to them. But yes, it is.
I don't think they have any anxiety. Most of them are just going
Are,
about their day like
are
nothing's
you
happening.
serious? There's a few that do, yes, but a lot of them just crumble to the ground and start freaking the fuck out.
No, the ones that are freaking out usually have a monster or a big bug in front of them.
Yes, the monsters that come to eat them. Oh my god. Okay, so you missed my entire point
But
where I was talking
that's
about
not
they're
a
gonna come take their souls.
that's not a
They're gonna
problem.
come to do it.
Hold on. That's not a problem inherent to being a spirit, though. That's a problem with monsters taking over the world, which is a problem in Ocarina of Time and
Which
Wind Waker
turns
and
them into
stuff.
spirits. Which turns them into spirits because they have to turn the world into a twilight realm
Yeah,
to
but the
do it.
spirits itself has no impact on them.
But
Being a
spirits,
spirit is not a
I
bad
mean,
thing, it's just a thing.
it is. It is because it makes you a target. You are not a target, and you become one. You could not be absorbed by them if they could not turn you into said spirits.
You're a
Therefore,
target even when you're not a spirit. There's a whole side quest where you got protected carrots from a bunch of monsters because you're a target even when you're not a spirit. You're gonna die and get eaten by a monster either way. There's no difference.
You're able to utilize the Twilight Realm in the world because of Zant and Ganondorf in the story, and you know this to be true because you played through the game. So once you take that out, that no longer is an issue. Otherwise, they would still come over and try to take your fucking soul, but they don't.
I'm just
So
saying,
yes,
like, hypothetically, if you made it so that when the Twilight falls over everyone and nobody becomes a spirit and Link just becomes a spirit and nobody can see Link, the plot would be no different. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, because it's one person at that point. But otherwise, it's
there
everybody.
would be no difference because you're like, oh, it's everyone. Everybody's in danger. Everybody's in danger even when the Twilight's removed. There's no difference. There's no difference between the Twilight and the not Twilight.
You're completely misunderstanding the plot here.
I am. That's why I'm asking about it. That's why I'm asking about it.
No, you're not. You're just saying what you think it is, even though you don't know.
I know. I am saying what I think it is, even though I don't know. That's the whole point of an opinion piece in the discussion.
Okay, so I know. I'll tell you now. Okay, I'll tell you. So when Ganondorf and Zant started their incursion on the light realm, we'll call it the light realm because they don't actually dictate whether it's light or dark.
I mean, in other Zelda games, they just call it the light realm.
The light realm. The incursion basically makes it so that Ganondorf can't go out of the Twilight Realm himself, but he can infuse his power into those that theoretically could. He also gives an item to be able to travel because the mirror wasn't broken initially. Okay? So Zant enters the realm with Ganondorf's power boosted by his Twilight magic.
Okay, well,
now,
the Twilight...
Hold on. There's no real counter magic to this magic.
Okay.
Because they haven't had to fight them in a long time.
Okay.
And Ganondorf instructs Zant to bastardize the people of the Twilight Realm because they all look kind of like him in mid and her adult form initially. They obviously did not look like what they looked like when they would fight you. And he imbued them with the power of think Calamity Ganon's corruption abilities, right? You can corrupt the land with the ability to infuse it with Twilight, which means you can function properly.
Calamity Ganon and stuff actually hurts and kills people. The Twilight
Jesse, we just went over the fact that the ability to make it into a Twilight Realm makes it so that they can kill people.
Well, yeah,
otherwise they can't do it.
But it doesn't hurt the people directly.
Yes, Ganondorf. So what I'm getting from you here is you're asking for them to use a sword instead of a pen.
What I'm getting at is that the people aren't affected by this, and thus a lot of the darkness is mitigated.
By a property. Transitive property, Jesse. They are affected by this through the aspect of it being able to make others from this realm affect them.
But like...
that affects them.
Like, let me put it like this. You're saying that Ganondorf is more powerful, but, like, he's still a threat either way. Like, oh, he's a little bit more powerful in the Twilight, but it's like, so?
No, that's not what I'm saying. No, hold on. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not talking about Ganondorf just being more powerful in this realm. I'm saying he gave his power to Zant because he could not leave the realm at that point.
Okay.
And so Zant mixed his power with his twilight magic, his twilly magic, which is a specific kind of magic that utilizes corruption to be able to feed on the souls of others, which you could not do if it did not exist.
Okay.
So him bringing this and empowering his subordinates with this ability endangers the lives of everybody. And while we do not know how he dispatched them, we know he dispatched the vast majority of the city guards because they're non-existent. They are not around. There are literally, you have a city guard descendant talk about how her daddy dead.
Okay, hold on. Two things. First of all, we do know how they kill them. They just sent monsters that killed them. we saw
Right,
this.
right. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, did they smash them in the face or did they eat their soul? Because they can do both.
But
They
I'm
only
asking,
just need to
like,
make sure the Twilight
what
Realm
the
is
functional difference is. Because from the
taking
sounds of
souls and
things,
powers.
when you die in the Twilight Realm, your soul is eaten. If you die in the real world, you just die. But, like,
Right, which
for
is
the
why I'm like, you can
people,
impart the
there
Twilight
is
Realm.
no difference.
Well, some people can visualize this. Zelda has the ability to visualize it as
Yeah,
well.
like
From what
2
I
or 3
understand.
people can. But like for
Yeah.
everyone else, everybody who can like actually interact with other people, no, not really. There's not really any difference. You're killed by monster in world A, you're killed by monster in world B. It really doesn't matter.
Okay, so it sounds like you're going on the ground level. What I'm saying is, story-wise, thematically, the horror in this, the fear in this, is the fact that they would never know who stabbed them, but that's going to happen.
I mean,
And that's what happened to a lot of characters in Majora's Mask. Actually, there are some people that didn't even know the moon was coming down, and it just happened.
So with the people who didn't know, they were in denial. So it was more of a case of...
there were people that just didn't look outside ever, or just stayed inside and didn't know. There are people that didn't know.
I wouldn't say they had a lot of horror with those people, though.
That is a scary concept, is what I'm trying to get across here. Is the idea of never knowing when it's gonna happen, but it's gonna.
I guess
is a scary concept, and that's what the haunting got across in storytelling. Is you don't know what's happening, but it's gonna happen.
I guess for me, with the spirit, I don't really get that feeling because the spirit itself doesn't seem to matter at all, because that very thing you just said would happen whether they're a spirit or not. So for me, it's just like, and mind you, a lot of what you just said about Zant being more powerful, I bet you that was in the manga. In the game itself, that shit's never mentioned.
In the game itself, he literally says, "Take a part of my power." What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, but I figured that was just like a magic boost. Like, oh, now he's strong enough to zap midnight.
No. He does not have the same powers as Ganondorf. That is dumb. Ganondorf cannot use Twilly magic. That is dumb.
No.
There have never been any indicators that he could use that. If Zant gets some of Ganondorf's power, he's gaining some of the abilities of magic and the Triforce of Powers abilities. Yeah, because he is directly tied to it, as we see.
Well, I figured that's why he was able to zap Midna. It's like, that's not a Twilight power, that's a Ganondorf curse power.
But with the Triforce of Power, he gains a boost to his Twilight magic. Is what I'm saying.
That's fine. That's why he can spread it all. But so, like, we already knew he was powerful enough to do that beforehand.
So I'm guessing, what's your issue here? Like, why do you have an issue with the explanation given to you? Because it seems like,
oh no, I'm not saying like it doesn't make sense. I'm just saying, like, I don't feel like, because a lot of darkness comes from emotion, since the people are not reacting to it, there's not really any real emotion to it.
That's not at all true.
That's what I feel.
Okay, so that's a horror perspective you have. As a gray area man myself right now, because I haven't chat talked Majora's Mask at all, because I recognize it does body horror pretty well. This is a great suspense horror story where you have the knife at somebody's throat. Dennis Reynolds, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, if anybody watches that. It's like being near the executioner switch and knowing I could throw it.
Sorry, and I will point this out, two things. First of all, I never thought of Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess as horror thing. Although I did make some, like, comparisons to horror, I never directly thought they were horror.
It's aimed at horror.
And second of all, I've never really been super into horror in the first place. So I will also fully admit, like, there are definitely pieces of this, but I can oftentimes appreciate the stories of horror. And usually I can appreciate the stories of horror because I can at least tap into, like, the emotions they want to do. Even if
I
it's
don't
not
think
always...
I don't think you're grasping the ability of the thriller aspect of it, and that's the
Maybe.
problem.
Because, like...
Because the thriller aspect is I could throw the executioner switch whenever I want. I might not, but I might, and that builds tension just by being that.
I think that's part of the problem is I don't always build tension quite as much. Like, for me, it's like, maybe I'm not a thriller person, but I'm a horror person. And that's probably where my big thing is. Because I don't
Are you
always
like
get
Outlast?
thriller. Because for me, it's like, well, you could throw the switch or you could not, but you're not throwing the switch right now, so I don't care.
Yeah, okay, so it is just the sword versus the pen thing with you.
Because, and I think another thing with the, I specifically with the spirits, I also don't get the feeling that there's ever a switch going to be pulled because they never tell you there's a switch going to be pulled. They're just like, well, they're ghosts now. It's like, okay, whatever. It's like, well, they're ghosts now. It's like, okay, well, is that any different from when they're not ghosts? No, not really. It's just
I
like,
mean, it's the concept of, as I said, you've sat them down in the executioner's chair. They may not know it, but they're there, and that's the scary part.
and I guess from like
Is-
an outside perspective, I could see where like if one of your loved ones was strapped in the executioner's chair, even if they don't know it, you'd probably be like a little nervous.
the outside part of it is we can see that they're there,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is we can't
But
stop it without.
I guess they never say whether they're even in the executioner's chair. Like, we see their spirits, but we're never told that that's an executioner's chair. We're never told in game that that's an executioner's chair.
Xanth mentions it a couple times.
He mentions that he's going to eat bad things to the people, but that's not inherently to the spirits. That's just evil guy does evil shit, which
The
happens
reason he was
all the
transferred
time.
spirits. This is where we just use proper inference. They turned them into spirits for a reason, and that would have been probably the reason. Occam's razor.
I guess probably, but I don't know. I thought it was more just like a side effect thing. Like, Zant wanted to turn everything into Twilight, and as a side effect, everything got turned into Spirit. Like, there's not an actual
Why wouldn't we
reason for
turn
the
them into
Spirit. It's just
Why
a
wouldn't we
side
turn them
effect.
into monsters?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. When you first get sent to the Twilight Realm, Mena explicitly said this just happens to everybody. Everybody who gets sent into the Twilight Realm gets turned into a spirit. Not that Zant who's doing it, that it's inherently into the Twilight. But the reason why you don't get turned into a spirit is because of something special with you. So
you have a bunch of Twilight Kissed monsters that are animals, and one of them is a monkey, which is actually close to us in DNA. So let's be clear and not hide behind that and say what it is, which is Zant can turn people into monsters if he really wanted to.
We see a spirit of a monkey, though.
You do. So why did he turn that monkey and not the other one?
Well, here's what I think it is. I think it's just Ganondorf's power making monsters like he always fucking does.
Untrue. He corrupts them specifically. He's shown to have done this. He knows what is nearby that monkey's grotto, first off. That's why he did a 2-pronged authentication on that shit. Fingerprint and eye print with Goma and the monkey boy. But a major thing with the monkey boy too was they know who you are. Like, Ganondorf knows who you are and what you're gonna look like.
Well, here's the thing.
And so
I don't
Zant's
think the
gonna know
Twilight monsters are animals. I think they're just animal-like some of Ganondorf's monsters are.
They are said to be Twilight Kissed. So they are.
Well, yeah, Twilight bees, but that doesn't explicitly mean that they're animals turned into Twilight. That just means that they exist in Twilight.
No, they don't. They existed in the main world. They are dictated to have. It is not like an Ing where they come straight from the dark world and we know they're an Ing. They are a monster that came from the world because monsters come from the main world, and they were turned into what they are.
I don't know. We see a lot of those Twilight monsters in the Twilight Zone, in the Twilight Castle, so I do think they're just animals of the Twilight.
All right, I'll give you another example. The end boss, the monkey itself was influenced, but the giant plant monster was influenced and turned into a monster. This is not a thing that can't happen.
Well, I
Like, I want to make sure it's clear.
think that,
This is a thing that has happened.
but we've seen in previous games that that's just Ganondorf's power. That's not Twilight power. That's just a Ganondorf thing.
It would be, first off, it would be a mix of the two because they're Twilight kissed, so they would have to use Twilight magic to do it. And as I said before,
Oh,
it's
I'm
probably
sure it
because his
probably
Twilight magic
changes
was
the flavor of the monsters a little bit, but I still think it's more of a case of like Ganondorf magic just doing that. It's not like an inherent.
Ganondorf's magic by itself would not do it. If they're Twilight enforced,
But here's
they
another
wouldn't.
thing
If
I want
they
to
weren't,
point
they wouldn't
out.
say it.
A lot of a lot of the Twilight beasts we see aren't animals. They're the monsters that Ganondorf usually makes. Because I just remembered that because what the monkeys you said, well, they're bokoblins. We see the bokoblins later in the exact same
The
spot.
monkeys are not Pokemon.
Not the monkeys, but like we see the bokoblins, and then in the same spot we see Twilight bokoblins.
We don't get to use the bokoblins in this for one reason. The main bokoblin was never turned, and he explicitly dictated why he's doing what he's doing in explicit detail,
No, hold
which
on,
is he's
let
on
me
the side.
finish. The big birds, right? We have those big birds that make the trumpet noises. You go back, there are monster birds right there. So those are literally just Ganondorf's monsters that have been Twilightified. They're not animals.
I will
monsters.
concede there are some. Okay, hold on. In this world, those are animals. Let's be clear. Those are the animals of the life.
I remember, because later on, when you're doing the carriage, they mentioned that a bunch of monsters have infested the roads, and they aren't usually there. And the monsters that are infesting the roads are the birds. So those don't exist before Ganondorf and the whole Twilight mess happened. Those
But
didn't
then why
exist.
would you mention them at all? Because this Ganondorf is the Ganondorf from Ocarina. You know that, right? Okay, so this Ganondorf created these monsters before, right?
Yeah. So
okay, so why would you say that they didn't exist before the Twilight if that's just a lie?
Well, what I'm saying is they didn't exist until this whole situation started. Until, Ganondorf and Zant started influencing the world.
No indicator of that.
I mentioned that the guards mentioned that the monsters started existing and popping up everywhere. So
that's not true. They didn't say they started existing. They said they started popping up everywhere, which does not indicate that they never existed.
So that would at least indicate that they're getting worse. And
there's more. That would just indicate that they're getting more rowdy and coming out of their burrows. That's all that would indicate.
But I will say other games have indicated that the monsters did exist, but they're still Ganondorf's monsters. Like, Ganondorf's monsters don't disappear when he disappears.
I can agree with that, but let's be clear. We don't say that they're Ganondorf's monsters. We say they're monsters aligned with Ganondorf.
But I still think there's a distinct distinction between the monsters and the animals. And I think that's the point I'm getting at with what turns into a spirit and what doesn't. The monsters got turned into the Twilight Beast. The actual animals and people got turned into spirits. Thus, it's not Zant turning them into spirits. It's just a fact of the Twilight that normal animals and people get turned into spirits, whereas the monsters get turned into bigger monsters.
That's not necessarily indicated either, because not all monsters turn into Twilight monsters. This is one of those things where this is a lot of conjecture. And
do they not? Because I feel like just because we don't see them directly doesn't mean they are. Because we don't see, the big Twilight bokoblin in the Twilight ever, so he could be a bigger monster in the Twilight.
I mean, let's notate
see it
this.
With Occam's razor, Joey. You see every other monster turn into bigger monsters. No reason to believe he doesn't.
I mean, that's true, but like all the people too, it would make more sense just to turn them all into Twilight beasts. That's Occam's razor.
People don't, and with
they can't. He has the ability to do this to people.
Yeah, but I feel like that he did that very directly, and again, that was the Twilight people who are like a entirely different kind of creature than a lot of the other people. So
true,
that
but
also,
they still would be able to turn them on.
So it's still one of those things where like the people turning into spirits is probably incidental. That's what I think, and there's plenty of evidence to support that, including dialogue in the actual game. So that's why I'm not too worried when everyone's a spirit,
Like,
because it sounds like that's just something that happens and that's not actually
that's
indicating anything.
it's indicating that they have control over the trial. As I said, they have their hand on the executioner's thing now. They didn't before. When you put your
I
hand on
feel
that,
like they
it
have the
becomes a stressful
same
situation.
level of executioner, hand on the execution, in the Twilight as out, because they still have control over all the monsters and the castle and all the, and
Right, but they could,
Ganondorf.
right, but Jesse, they can see that. Like the Twilight people can turn invisible on them.
I think the big difference between the Twilight is the monsters. The danger of the Twilight is that the monsters do get bigger and stronger, and you have the
And invisible. They can turn invisible on human people. They can be not seen if they so choose.
and
Like
and yeah, that's more dangerous in the monster, but that's not inherent to the spirits, which is what we're talking about. Inherent to the spirits.
the reason that they turn invisible is so that they can prey upon the spirit
But
and without being touched upon. This is where I was saying, put their hand on the executioner's thing. The thing is, you can't see whose hand is on it. Have you ever heard? Okay, I'm going to bring up
but
something here
that's
that
just it.
ties into this.
Dying to as a spirit and dying as a regular person, there's no difference. The monsters,
Hold on,
the
hold
only
on, hold on,
difference is
hold on,
that the
hold on.
monsters are more dangerous, which is
I'm
super
going to give an
obvious.
example of what the mentality is going to put on here, right? The people know that they were invaded by the Twilight people, but they cannot see them right now. I'm going to give you an example of a prison design that was made specifically to tailor to the anxieties of people. Okay? The people are in a prison, right? Prison's a circle. Everybody can see to the center of the prison, correct?
Also, can they
Now,
turn invisible? Because we see the
yes,
guy on the top
yes,
of the castle be
yes,
like,
they
"Oh,
can.
look at these
Yes,
giant
they
birds
can.
flying everywhere." And
Yes,
then
they
when we
can.
see the Twilight Beast attack the people, the guards could clearly see the Twilight Beast
Yes,
as they
Jesse,
get fucking
when they go
murdered.
in, just hold on, hold on. They go invisible by jumping into the Twilight Realm, which is not visible to human people. This is obvious and in the game. Duh. They don't do it all the time because they like instilling fear that way as well. Occam's razor, once again, let me finish what I was saying.
But where does it
So,
say that they can turn invisible to other people?
that is invisible. They acted upon the people and walked around people when they were in the Twilight Realm, and nobody knew they were there. What do you mean?
But we don't see them in front of people ever.
We do. We do. Let's see, we do.
Do we?
Yes, yes we do. Specifically around your home. We see it near the beginning of the game. Ilya is about to get her fucking nuts rocked. And she didn't even know. She didn't even know. Because they're not visible when they're in the Twilight Realm because they're separate realms. Which is why you can see things in the Twilight Realm, but things in the Twilight Realm
Well,
sorry,
okay,
wrong phrasing.
fine.
But let me finish what I was saying, which is the explanation of what this does to somebody. If we look at it from the outskirts, this is a horrifying thing. Because you build a prison, you can see the center of it, it's a circle, right? There's one pillar in the center of this thing that's called the watchtower, but you can't see what's inside it. Now, it's told to you that they can see you. You could have nobody in this watchtower, and people would be so on edge that they would be having issues with their mental faculties.
I guess for me,
This isn't
okay.
This is an experimental prison idea that was actually fun fact.
No, I
it was
know
brought
about
in
this.
Andor.
But let me put it like this. Imagine you're inside this watchtower, right? You're inside this prison of this watchtower, right? And someone breaks you out of the watchtower, right? You break you out, you're free. It's like, oh man, I can't wait to go out. You go out as a dystopian world where the whole world is basically a prison full of those watchtowers. Is there really any major difference? No, you're still suffering under watchtowers. And that's kind of how I feel with these spirits. Yeah, you're under more danger from the monsters, but once you're free from the spirits, once you're broken out from that, you're still under danger from all the monsters. There's not that much difference. Maybe you're a little less damaged.
Sure. Hold on. In that theoretical, sure, but like they don't know they're out of like the singular watchtower. They're not broken out. They're in one watchtower right now. They're in one. They're not leaving it. If they were, that would change things, sure, but they didn't.
Well, here's the thing.
So
That's
like,
only the Twilight Beast that seemed like they can flip in and out. Or like the the ones that revive each other. The main ones. But like
that
the
doesn't
actual
matter.
like
If it's just them,
animalistic
it's just
ones
them.
are still flying around like holding them
So
back. Either one.
it's
And
just them. I mean, that's just them. That still does it. It
so
still
it's
does
like
the job.
they're
You see,
locked up either way. They're under threat
but
from
they're
monsters
not.
either way. They know they're under threat from monsters either way.
The
And
point is, there's a monster that they cannot see, Jesse. Not that there are monsters they can see, because they can deal with those.
there
There
are
are
fucking
monsters that they
ghosts
cannot
running
see.
around that they can't see that can murder them at any time too in the regular world.
Yeah, but Poes don't seek people out in this world. They did in Ocarina, but they don't anymore.
Yeah, but if you get near one, they still murder the shit out of you. Point is,
I agree.
they're under
I
a lot of
agree.
threat no matter what. They're under a
Poes
lot
are
of threat no
horrifying.
matter
I
what.
agree.
And the fact that one of the
Honestly,
monsters
it just sounds like
is
you're arguing for the
slightly
kids
more
to argue
threatening.
now.
I feel like the fact that one of the monsters is slightly more threatening in the Twilight world doesn't matter much to being a spirit. Because this whole point was about whether this being a spirit is bad or not. And if they were not spirits, instead regular people, the monsters would still be invisible and murdering them,
Yes,
There's no difference.
I'll tell you why. That's dumb. And I'll tell you why. There's the main reason why this is an issue. I can throw a rock at a guy who's running at me with a knife. I can't throw a rock at a guy if I can't see him.
Okay, no, hold on.
Easy.
That's not the point I just made. Okay, the point I just
That
made
is the point. It makes it worse if you can't see them.
Hold on. The point I just made was that if they weren't spirits but regular people trapped in Twilight, they were instead of turning into spirits, they still remained people, right? The monsters would still be invisible to them, flipping in and out, because there is no difference between being a spirit and being a regular person. That's the point I'm trying to make throughout all of this. And I don't think there is any difference. The monsters would still be invisible to them.
No, they're not invisible if they're showing up in the physical world. That has been showcased. The problem is they shift to invisibility, and then they're able to do these things without them being able to do anything to retaliate.
I don't think the people could retaliate whether they could see them or not. We've already seen a cutscene of the royal guard just getting murked by them effortlessly. So I don't think there's any difference. If anything, them being invisible is better because you're not terrified, you just die.
All Zelda has to do is imbue them with light magic, and then they're able to be harmed.
That like to me, I'd rather be killed by an invisible monster who just kills me instantly than have a monster terrify me before killing me instantly. You know what I'm saying? So if anything, them turning invisible is better.
I mean, relatively speaking.
So that's why I think the spirits don't matter. The spirits need something more than what they have to make it worse. And that's what I feel about with Twilight Princess a lot.
I disagree. I think that they do their job of not being exactly like Majora's Mask, but still being scary pretty well.
I just don't feel it. I don't
but
feel it.
You also already notated that you need instant gratification with your horror.
I don't know. I'm just trying to explain why I don't necessarily feel. Why I feel like I do. Because it's not like I've never felt anxiety in horror. It's just...
but you don't like
in this one, in Twilight Princess, I just don't feel it.
I mean, also, you don't have you've already talked about you don't have a full appreciation of the concept of it.
Yeah.
So, like, me explaining these things seems to be falling on deaf ears because your conceptualization of what you look for in these anxiety-filled things is relatively instant. As we've gone over before, we're talking about Majora's Mask. The moon starts falling pretty quick.
Well, you can see that. You can see people panic over it and react to it in different ways and stuff.
You don't like subtle anxiety building. You like pretty upfront, grotesque anxiety building. That's what I'm gauging for this. Is that correct?
Yeah, because with me, subtle anxiety building doesn't really matter because with a lot of subtle anxiety building, there's no pressing danger. There's no pressing danger.
I mean, pressing danger is relative, but let's be clear here: the danger is pressing in this one.
Yeah.
It's not fast enough for you.
Well, I think what helps with the Majora's Mask is there's an actual fucking timer telling you they're gonna die in this amount of time. Whereas with Twilight Princess, it's like, it's sometime in the future.
I agree. That does help build anxiety. It's a little bit like a invisible coin block in a Mario World mod where it's just like an easy get, but it works.
And like with Fear and Hunger 2, I've been playing Fear and Hunger
Fear and Hunger is
2.
very good.
There's a lot of
But
anxiety
that's a
and like,
PS4 game. That's not fair to compare.
well, no, I know, but well, you know, if just to give an example of like what a good example is, I'm getting a lot of anxiety of, am I doing this right? Just to give a different example of anxiety building.
It's not, but it's not the same type of anxiety building. I would have. Thank you so much.
I know.
I would have gotten.
That was a bit of a derail. I know. I just wanted to be like, and here's another example of anxiety building that gets me. The am I doing this right anxiety build. I actually had a concept for a game that was entirely based around that. Where the horror, like, there's nothing horror about it except for the feeling of, am I doing this right?
Yep. I mean, the big thing to note here, though, is if you're comparing it, you got to compare it to a like thing. Yeah. You're comparing, Fear and Hunger is comparable to Majora because their style of horror is more similar.
Yeah.
When I compared The Haunting to Twilight Princess, not to say The Haunting is anywhere near as like low key as Twilight is. It's the style, which is very undersaturated in terms of verbiage, which is, I think, just as good at telling a story. In fact, I think that they had more time to cook with their story because you weren't so focused on everything else.
Well, I think
which is a failing of Majora's Mask.
I think for me, it's like they put the pot on a low boil, but they never turn it up, and that always bothers me. Because like I can handle like. I can enjoy the low anxiety as long as it like eventually builds up to something. With Twilight Princess, I feel like it just never does. So it's like, okay, well, the low boil, the low heat you get at the beginning is the low heat you get throughout the entire game. And it's like,
I do think that's supposed to be the point. You're in the middle of something that's basically the Dark King's trying to come back, and he hasn't been in power, and that's, I think, the proper way to do this story. This isn't like a Wind Waker where he's been cooking. This isn't like Majora's Mask where you're basically having an existential nightmare. This isn't like Ocarina or LOZ1 or any of these ones where he's just been in power in different aspects and hasn't like been sealed. Because dead is one thing. He usually comes back with all his power after he comes back from death. But he's sealed. That's different. You've got to burn that slow. Because the big thing is he's been doing the... Think about this from Ganondorf's perspective too. His machinations have probably had to build up over time, and so even if you're not a fan of it, at least try your best to respect the concept of this is supposed to be a slow build Zelda story, as opposed to the ones where it's like goddamn Breath of the Wild where they killed you and you wake up from death and stuff. What a way to start your freaking Zelda game, or gosh darn Zelda 2, where it turns out like Zelda's it's Ico 1.0. Thank you.
Well, I guess in conclusion, you know, to bring this back to how this conversation started, Pokemon needs to do better. Needs to show its shit better.
They really do. I mean, they've got the capacity and the money. Like they're money savvy right now, billions and billions of dollars.
You know, I just, told my problems with Twilight Princess story. Still miles better than anything Pokemon did. Still miles better.
Legends Arceus is in the right direction, though, and I hope they keep going that way.
But Pokemon's always going in the right direction. It just never arrives. That's the problem.
They went from Gen 5 to Gen 6, Jesse. No, that's not true.
Gen 6's backstory was the right direction.
Right, but that wasn't the story.
So it's just like, that's why they never arrive. They keep having the pieces, but they drop some pieces to pick up other pieces, but because they dropped those other pieces, now the story's incomplete again.
Well, what ended up happening after Gen 5 was they were like, oh, they really like the backstory in the last two games, instead of hearing us say, we really like the story in the last two games, and so they just made the backstory good.
Black and White had a great story. It was missing the backstory, you know, the background stuff to make it great.
There was a
X
good
and
backstory,
Y
but
had all the great background stuff, but was missing the story. So basically, they fixed the problem with Black and White, but they dropped the part that made Black and White good, and thus it made it crappy again. And it's like, God damn it! you had the pieces, you just didn't put them together. And that's always been my problem with Pokemon. The pieces
I don't
are
think they've
there.
ever. I don't think they've ever done it proper too. Because, like, I'll be real. As I've said, the backstory of Gen One is one of the coolest backstories that they've never talked about.
You wanna know?
Like, we missed the best game ever when we played through Gen One.
So okay, let's talk about Pokemon Coliseum real quick, right?
Oh yeah.
Pokemon Coliseum's great, you know, fantastic. Everybody loves Pokemon Coliseum. So Pokemon Coliseum XD comes out, right? And Pokemon has a little bit more control over the story, right? And first of all, you can immediately see the sanitization of the story, right? The difference between people who don't give a fuck and will do what they want with the story versus the people who are too scared to do what they want to do with the story. And
Yeah, no, because like they immediately brought back Mirror B. They knew exactly what we wanted.
And one of the biggest things was who the villain of XD was supposed to be. You hear about this one, Joey?
No.
The villain of XD was supposed to be the main. Yeah, of Pokemon Coliseum XD was supposed to be the main character of Coliseum, because it was supposed to turn out that like your main character in Coliseum wasn't doing everything he did for positive reasons. He was doing it to take over the syndicate and become its leader. He was a Team Stadium villain who turned traitor on Team Stadium, not because he had a change of heart, but because he had bigger aspirations and became the leader of Cypher.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome. And we probably would have gotten that story if Pokemon hadn't intervened and got scared. Oh.
That is a shame. That is a major shame. Unfortunate. And since Pokemon Battle Revolution did so poorly, which they tied that over to the Coliseum duology, they probably won't make another one of those for a long time, because Coliseum did really bad.
Okay, see, the thing with Frontier is that, or not Frontier, Battle Revolution, is that A, there's no fucking story in the game, and B, you don't have any Pokemon in the fucking game. You have to bring it from a different game.
Thank you.
So it's like, at least with like Stadium and Stadium 2, you can pick from every Pokemon, even if their moveset's kind of crap. You at least have every Pokemon to pick from. In Revolution, you have, I think, let's see, it's 3 teams, so it's 18 Pokemon to pick from. That's it. 18.
Yeah, it's pretty garbage.
You got 18 Pokemon to pick from. Unless you bring some in from a different game.
There's also no mini games, and that was a big thing for the original Stadium games. And there's no unlockable new Pokemon you can get from the game. There's no Pokemon.
Oh, there's a few gift Pokemon you can unlock, like Magmortar and stuff with special moves.
How cool was the Pokemon School in the original ones, where it just like taught you basics?
Yeah.
What a good idea.
Yeah, and with Revolution, it's like, first of all, you know, as I pointed out a million times, the animations in Pokemon Battle Revolution are some of the best in the series. Probably are the best in the series, actually. Not some of the best, are the best. And I like a lot of the different battle modes and, like, different, like, actual, like, the battles themselves are fantastic. Some of the bosses are fantastic. The different battle modes are fantastic and different. The game would have been great if they didn't get stuck up their own ass and remove the story and remove all the fucking Pokemon. Just like
I would have loved to see the return of the Battle Castle.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think everybody would have loved to see more of the Battle Castle.
I like the one where you swap your Pokemon with your opponents, so you have to kind of bring a mid-tier team that can probably defeat your opponent, but also isn't so powerful that you can't beat yourself. That
You
was
know what
fun.
everybody probably would have enjoyed? The Battle Frontier.
Oh, Battle Frontier. That game is great. That is great. Battle Frontier
Oh no,
is...
the Battle Frontier is an area in Emerald. I mean,
Yeah. No,
but
I
that
know.
was awesome. Where you had to take guest Pokemon. It was awesome.
Okay, sorry. I wanted to go on a little tangent for Battle Frontier. Pokemon Black and White 2. One of the reasons why I love Pokemon Black and White 2 is because although there's not a specific area for it, throughout the entire game, there's enough great side shit for you to do that there is basically an entire Battle Frontier in that game. It's just not all in one spot. Like, go do the side shit in Black and White 2. It's all fantastic. There's a whole there's a whole fucking Battle Frontier in that game. You just have to look for it.
It's true. It fixed a lot of the issues from Gen 5.
Yeah. There's Pokestar Studios, the World Tournament, which is fantastic. The Pokemon World Tournament, where you get to fight against every boss throughout the series again. There's the White Hollow, Black Tower. There's the there's a Battle Tower. There's even just the contest thing. There's so much stuff. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There's a lot of good shit in Black and White too.
We used to have Popo making in that one.
Was that?
You used to have Poppin making in that one.
Not Poffin making, unfortunately. Contest actually kind of suck. I just brought it up amongst all those stuff, but it kind of suck.
I love making Poppins.
I do like making Poffins. But yeah.
I do kind of hate making sandwiches on the new one. It's kind of annoying.
Oh yeah.
Man, oh man. I do enjoy Black and White too. I think
Battle
Black and White
Institute,
1 was
that's the one I'm
major
thinking
issue
of.
with it.
Battle Institute and the Battle Subway. Yes, the Subway and the Battle Institute. The Subway is the Battle Tower, just its own thing. And the Battle Institute, the CPUs will change their teams specifically to defeat you, which means you get to test your teams and find their weaknesses, because the game is actively being like, alright, I see your weakness. Kill.
What
It's
about
fantastic.
Pokemon Dash?
Have you ever seen a Pokemon game with that kind of mechanic where it actively seeks out your weaknesses? In this
Isn't
one
that
area?
just Metal Gear Solid 5?
Sorry, what?
Isn't that just Metal Gear Solid 5?
Yeah.
Where they put helmets on if you shoot them in the head?
Yeah, something like that.
Pretty dope.
I noticed you have a lot of water weaknesses in your team. How about this entire team of water Pokemon? Can you handle that? You put a bunch of electric type moves to fight your water weakness. How about a bunch of water ground types? How about Quagsire? Can you deal with Quagsire?
I do think the best Pokemon game is Pokemon Dash, obviously.
Oh, I love Dash, except for the fact that it hurts my rest. Listen.
I was joking. Pretty bad.
Listen, I've never seen a game like Dash is great because it like encourages you to find all the speedrun strats. And that's fantastic.
I mean, I guess that's a good point.
That's why people
A
love
game that
Neon
encourages
White.
you to...
It's just a shame that to play it you have to break your fucking wrist.
But is it though?
Is it? I don't know.
Or is it saving your life?
Saving your life. It's negative reinforcement. They break your wrist while you learn speed strats so you don't waste your life speed running. Negative
That's
reinforcement.
probably a good idea. Yep.
I want to speed run, but every time I do, my wrist hurts. I guess I'll never speed run unless your life is saved.
And they're like, I saved the wrist guard from the Nintendo 64 just for this occasion.
Anyways, all right. I think this discussion. I think I'm starting to get a little tired between this and the last episode. So, hope y'all
No
had
problem.
fun.
Perfect.
Bye.
Bye.